Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really fascinating. We're unpacking the psychological and energetic reasons behind why you simply cannot stop thinking about that one specific person. Look, if you're here, chances are you're feeling completely exhausted by your own mind. You're dealing with a situation that feels totally out of your control and you're just looking for answers. Well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to explore a perspective that breaks down exactly what might be happening beneath the surface.
So, is someone stuck in your head literally 24 hours a day? It's an incredibly frustrating experience, isn't it? I mean, you wake up and boom, they're your very first thought. You try to focus on your work and they drift right back into your mind. You try to fall asleep and their face is literally the last thing you see. It's just a relentless mental loop. You might even be getting annoyed with yourself, wondering why you're obsessing over them when they don't seem to be showing any signs of caring. But according to the frameworks we're looking at today, what you're experiencing might actually be deeply rooted in psychology and this invisible, energetic connection.
All right, Section 1, Constant Thoughts of One Person.
Here's the very first thing we need to do. We need to shatter a massive illusion you've probably been carrying around. You are not the only one feeling this way. Seriously, let that really sink in for a second. The biggest misconception when we're trapped in a mental loop about someone is that we're suffering completely alone. We just assume that because we're the ones pacing the floor, we're the only ones who are heavily attached. But that is simply not true. The psychology of deep connection actually suggests that if this person is constantly running through your mind, it's highly likely that they are experiencing the exact same energetic pull and restlessness. They're feeling the weight of this connection just as heavily as you are, even if they're putting on a brave face and completely hiding it.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Soul and Subconscious Connection. Let's talk about this hidden soul connection. You might not be texting, calling, or even living in the same city. The physical reality is totally silent. But according to this theory, when you're deeply connected to someone, your core selves, your souls, they're still communicating. If they're popping into your mind while you're just, staring at your morning coffee or wandering down the grocery aisle, it's because that connection is active. In fact, they are also entirely restless. You might think they're out living their best life without a care in the world, but they're just concealing their feelings. They are likely thinking about you even more than you are thinking about them, just masking all that internal chaos with external silence.
And this leads us to a really crucial concept, subconscious manifestation. Basically, this happens when someone unintentionally pulls you into their thoughts through a deep, energetic connection, and it causes mutual restlessness. Whether you're actively communicating right now or you haven't spoken in months, it doesn't even matter. They're manifesting you subconsciously. Their thoughts are reaching out to you on an energetic frequency, and your mind is just catching that signal. That's exactly why they suddenly pop into your head out of absolute nowhere. It's a mutual, invisible tether.
But here is a super important reminder. They aren't doing this on purpose. I want to make this crystal clear. This subconscious manifestation is not some deliberate, manipulative attempt to bother you or ruin your day. They aren't sitting in a dark room scheming to keep you awake at night. This framework suggests it's simply a natural byproduct of your shared energy level. Just like you aren't choosing to obsess over them, they aren't actively choosing to flood your mind. You're both just caught in the exact same energetic current.
Okay, Section 3, Energy, Memories, and Mutual Ego.
Let's look at how this shared energy interacts with your past. Because you're connected on an energy level, you're both tethered to the past you built together. Even if things ended in this massive argument, those precious memories, they still surface despite the fights. And honestly, here is the most fascinating part of this psychology. When a specific memory pops into your head, like a song you both loved or a cafe you frequented, and it makes you feel a sudden wave of sadness or a spark of joy, there's a very high probability that they're experiencing the exact same happy or sad emotions at the exact same time. It's like you're essentially reliving your relationship on a synchronized, infinite loop.
Which leads us to the most natural, burning question that I know you are probably screaming at the screen right now. If they miss me so much, why don't they just call? I mean, if we're sharing this energetic connection, if they're restless, if they're reliving the memories with me, why is my phone totally silent? Why am I the one agonizing over this whole shebang?
Well, the answer is simple, but it's incredibly destructive. Ego. Ego is the silent villain here. It creates a massive barrier in relationships and completely stops both parties from initiating contact. Ego is the very thing that weakens the foundation of your connection. It whispers to them, hey, don't call first, you'll look weak. And then it whispers to you, they should be the one to reach out, not me. So despite missing each other terribly, and despite the profound energetic connection we just discussed, both of you are completely paralyzed by pride. mutual ego just traps you both in a stalemate where, honestly, everyone loses.
Which brings us to Section 4, Distance and the Realization of Value.
Sometimes, distance is the very thing that forces clarity. This creates what we call the cycle of distance. Think of it as a four-step process. First, fights create physical and emotional distance. When you're in the heat of a conflict, you really can't see the big picture. But once that dust finally settles, step 2 kicks in. The person realizes your true value in their life. The silence literally forces them to face what their day-to-day is like without you. Once that realization hits, step 3 triggers. They begin manifesting you silently. Their desire for you spikes. And finally, step 4. Their intensified energy directly affects your daily thoughts, causing you to think about them even more. So the distance didn't break the connection at all. It actually amplified it.
Finally, Section 5, Communicate or Step Back.
It's time for some highly pragmatic advice based on everything we've just unpacked. We have to make a vital comparison: ego versus self-respect. These two concepts get confused all the time, but they are entirely different beasts. Ego is holding on to petty bitterness just because you want to win the standoff. Self-respect, on the other hand, is protecting your fundamental dignity from a situation that has become toxic or damaging. Knowing the difference between these two is absolutely the key to figuring out your next move.
So, let's get into your action plan. If the distance between you two is just caused by some minor bitterness, pick up the phone, make a call, or send a text. It is just not worth the mental exhaustion. If it's literally just ego standing in the way, solve it quickly. Don't let pride destroy a really valuable connection. However, if the situation is deeply toxic, your priority shifts completely. Your number one priority must be to protect your self-respect. If your dignity and self-respect are at risk by reaching out, do not bend. Do not make that call. You really have to evaluate the reality of your relationship and decide if you're dealing with a simple misunderstanding or a fundamental lack of respect.
Evaluate your specific situation. Look past those mental loops and ask yourself honestly, will you put your ego aside and take that first step? Or is this the moment you choose your self-respect and walk away in silence? The energy is there, the connection is absolutely real, but the choice is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this brought you the clarity you've been looking for. Take care.